Ahoy!
Welcome to episode 10 of Bottom of the Stream.
Double figures.
Double figures. We made it to double figures. Who'd have thought it?
I was always confident.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose I was. Well, we've done it anyway, whether we were confident in it or not. How do we start these things normally?
Sometimes you do the socials.
Let's do the socials. That's a good idea. Twitter. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please do. It's at BOTS_podcast. Instagram is the same, at BOTS_podcast. Facebook is facebook.com/bottomofthestream. Email address is bottomofthestream@gmail.com, and the website is bottomofthestream.podbean.com. We mostly update on Twitter and Instagram, I think. Facebook we do as well, but Twitter and Instagram especially, I think that's what all the kids are doing these days.
Yeah, but
Seems to get more engagement on Insta.
You can talk to us on any of those, and
yeah, we will respond.
We're
quite friendly guys. That's what we do. I've got a really boring job, so I'll just respond when I'm bored.
Good.
Absolutely. So, shall we start talking about this week's film?
Let's do it.
What are we talking about this week?
We are going for a documentary.
Who'd have thunk it?
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe slightly different to the previous episodes.
I do like documentaries. I do watch a few, but I don't think I've ever reviewed one before or talked about one in depth before. So it's going to be fun. Yeah,
so what we've got is a film called The Dawn Wall.
Yes.
From 2018.
Yeah.
And it's a free climbing documentary.
It is. I'd never even really... I'd heard of free climbing. I had no idea before this what it is. And now I do.
So the basic premise...
Yeah.
Is we've got a guy called Tommy Caldwell.
Yes.
And he wants to climb the Dawn Wall, which is a section of El Capitan.
In Yosemite National Park in America.
And he's sort of invented, devised, mapped out, whatever you want to say, this route up the most difficult part of the mountain.
You look at this mountain.
It's just a sheer...
It's like a...
wall of rock.
Yeah, it's just this... When you first look at it, when you first see it in the film, it's just like a blank canvas of rock. There's nothing there. It staggered me that he was even thinking about climbing it.
Yeah, so it's called the Dawn Wall because it's the first part of the park and of the mountain that gets sunlight on it as it rises in the morning.
Looks pretty special in the mornings when it's all lit up by the sun.
So, first thing to say, easy win. You'd expect it. This film looks amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. From start to finish, it is beautiful. There's lots of nice aerial shots of El Capitan and Yosemite and the Dawn Wall itself.
Drone shots, helicopter shots.
Lots of drones, lots of helicopters.
Time lapse of stars passing overhead. And
I'd love to go to Yosemite. Yeah. I think it'd be awesome. Anything in that kind of area would be nice.
But there's a bit more to this film than I anticipated.
But, yeah.
Again, going in with we talked about going in with certain preconceptions. And I thought, well, this should be quite interesting. It's just really difficult to climb things like this.
But, yeah.
All it's going to be about is these two... Not all it's going to be about, but it's going to be these two guys...
That's what I was expecting.
Trying to conquer this mountain.
Two guys trying to conquer a mountain that's never been climbed before.
But it turns out there's a load more strange things going on here.
Tommy's story is mental.
Yeah.
That if we've not done your one-word review, that would be mine. Mental. What would be yours?
It's inspiring, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It was really inspiring.
I'm not
going to go out and start rock climbing, but it's definitely an inspiring story.
I think, regardless of the fact that it's rock climbing or whatever the challenge is, it's the fact that you can, the stick-to-itness and the sort of determination that this guy's got is
whatever you want to achieve.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, as we say, it's about Tommy Caldwell. It sort of says right from the start he's quite an underdeveloped kid.
Yeah.
So he's a bit behind at school.
Yeah, they describe him as shy and fragile and developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
Is the words they use.
Whereas Dad is a bodybuilder / mountain climber.
Yeah.
/
action man.
Hunk of an outdoorsman.
Even now he's still a hunk of an outdoorsman.
And from a very young age, Tommy's dad's sort of taken him out on all these adventures.
Yeah, he wasn't prepared to accept that Tommy was this delayed kid.
Because they happen to have this national park in their
garden.
Back garden.
Yeah, basically. He first started climbing in Yosemite when he was 6 years old, it says in the film, which is mind-boggling.
And by sort of 14, 15, he was better than his dad.
Yeah, and better than most people, by the sounds of it.
So it was quite an interesting bit, wasn't it? So again, it's just sort of context to the challenge later. Tommy enters this climbing competition.
Yeah.
He's an unknown amateur.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they undersold it, but basically in the film they're like, yeah, he's just turned up on the day.
I think, that's how they made it look, whether that's actually true or not.
And he won the whole
thing. He just turned up to watch it.
Yeah.
And then won the whole competition. Yeah. He won the Citizens' Day, which was the day for non-professional rock climbers, and then won the actual day against the actual rock climbers, which is...
So he's a bit of a prodigy,
crazy.
it's fair to say.
Yeah, it seems like it.
So whilst he's on this sort of competition circuit, he meets...
that puts him on the circuit winning the competition.
He meets a girl, doesn't he?
Yes,
called Beth.
Young lady called Beth, who is very similar to him. She's like the female version of him.
Yeah.
She's quite shy and quiet and well, and...
Yes, but they obviously bond over their rock
bond
climbing.
over their love of the rock. not the actor or wrestler, but the rock.
Or the movie with Sean Connery.
Yeah, they bond over their love of mountains and rock climbing.
It's like Nicolas Cage before it went really wrong.
That's a great film.
The Rock.
Yeah,
it's a good film.
It is a really good film.
Never going to be on this podcast.
No. Is it even on Netflix? Probably not.
I have no idea. Anyway, we digress.
Anyway, yeah.
So, because they're both rock climbing prodigies, they get invited to go to an expedition to Kazakhstan.
Yes.
And this is in the year 2000.
Yeah, so...
We're talking, so that's the time frame we're at.
Yeah.
And I think they're around sort of, what, I'm guessing they're around...
like 16,
17, something like that. They're halfway up a cliff face. So there's them and another climber, and then the guy who is kind of documentating the whole thing. I've just made up a word.
You have it, it's a good word.
I'm sticking with it. Let's just plough through. And they're halfway up a cliff face.
Yeah.
And suddenly they're getting shot at.
Yeah, it's the middle of the night, and bullet holes start appearing in the rock next to them.
And at this point, I thought, I wasn't expecting this.
Because they're camping as well. They're camping hanging from the side of a mountain, which it comes up a lot in this film. I'd never seen that before. I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, and they're getting shot at, and it's quite clear that these people that are shooting them want them to come down from the mountain, which they do.
And they're basically taken hostage by these Kazakhstani rebels.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's like they're out in the Middle East and they get taken hostage by a load of... I presume there's some sort of civil war going on, or...
Yeah, he sort of says, doesn't he, they're in sort of ongoing battles with the military.
Yeah.
And they're kept hostage for 6 days.
Yeah.
Walking around the mountains and...
climbing, walking, no food, no water.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty scary. For a bunch of children rock climbers.
Yeah. And it turns out
story.
The captors don't really have a plan, though. That's how it seems.
They seem to be just walking around in circles, not really knowing what's going on.
So, 2 of them leave, don't they? 2 of the captors leave not to be seen again.
Yeah.
Then another one leaves.
Yeah, they decide, the remaining 2 captors, I think he said, decided to split up to see if they could get help.
Yeah.
Or get rescued themselves, because they were clearly lost at this point.
So they're left to just being held
by one man.
By one captor.
Yeah.
And what does Tommy do?
Well, they decide, the older one decides that, or the older 2 decide, they have a conversation about killing this guy.
Yeah.
Because they now grossly outnumber him. And that doesn't really pan out. And then Tommy pushes him off a cliff.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere, just runs up behind him and pushes him off this cliff. For a 16-year-old kid to make that decision is terrifying. It it did destroy him for a while.
Yeah.
Pretty harrowing thing to have to do.
Yeah, you just can't imagine it, can you?
No.
So they make a break for it, don't they?
Yeah, and they find this military camp and they get rescued and
picked up and
given food and water
home.
and clothes and sent back to America.
So they become celebrities.
Yeah, from that they ended up on all sorts of chat shows and news shows, and that's the first sign of them becoming.
So I don't know. So maybe some of our American listeners may be a lot more familiar with this story. But
I had not heard of this story before.
Yeah, I had no idea over here.
In America, maybe it's so. Maybe our American listeners can let us know.
Yeah,
Canadian listeners, anybody over that side of the Atlantic. That though is a mental story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a documentary in itself, and we have not even started this documentary yet. And
I quite liked how this film was structured because it moved from time period to time period.
Yeah, it kept and
I really liked. I just really liked
them being on the wall and then telling their history and then them because the story of this film is this 19-20 day climb up this wall.
Yeah.
And it flashes between that quite a bit.
Yeah. Giving you sort of the background
story of
Tommy.
who Tommy is. And
So it sort of leaves them with, being in this media circus at this young age, and then sort of comes back to, again, a bit more info on El Capitan. So, they estimate it will take them 2 weeks to climb this route. It's 3,000 feet.
3,000 foot monolith, he described it as.
Yeah.
And one guy describes Yosemite as the mecca for rock climbing, and El Capitan as its crown jewel. So there is loads of climbing routes already on El Capitan.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them were designed by Tommy.
Yeah.
And he was the first to do them.
So he's not only, I'm trying to think of a comparison. So we'll come on to shortly sort of how he sort of builds, how good his physical attributes and what a sort of athlete he is.
Yeah.
But I can only sort of make a comparison that he's like, not only is he the Michael Jordan of climbing in terms of athletic ability, but he's also like the Einstein of climbing.
Yeah, because he knows it better than anybody by the sounds of this doc. I don't know anything about rock climbing, but this documentary sold him as if he was the god of rock climbing.
And I think the bit that maybe most impressed me about this story was how much work had to go into planning this route.
Yeah. Yeah.
And working out every single step,
at one point,
foothold.
It was, I think it's 2008 when he decides he needs to do this, because a lot of stuff passes in his life before that, and we've jumped forward a little bit.
That's alright, we'll come back and catch up, it's fine.
So he abseils down from the top. Yeah. So because obviously abseiling's easier than climbing. And he spends a year just mapping the rock face in his head every day for a year.
His dad goes up for a bit with him, doesn't he?
Just to keep him company, and he basically maps this whole rock face.
The process from him deciding this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and climb this part of the cliff, this dawn wall, to them actually starting off on their climb is 6 years.
Yeah.
This project is 6 years long.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy.
To climb 3,000 feet.
To have that much dedication, it is. To have that much dedication to something, to dedicate your entire life to it for that amount of time is crazy. It really is. But we have jumped forward because.
So Tommy has got a partner, hasn't he?
Yeah.
During this climb, who is a guy called Kevin Jorgensen.
Yes.
And they start off. So they've split this climb into 32 sections.
Yes.
Called pitches, to use the climbing lingo. All of unbelievably hard difficulty.
Yeah.
And by the end of day one, they get to the end of section 7.
Yes. So the first bit's obviously the easiest bit, you would think anyway.
And that's kind of where we leave them for the first part of the climb.
So then it shoots back to 2000, 2002 kind of time.
Yeah. So Tommy has moved in with Beth, the lady who went to the Kazakhstan expedition with them. She's sort of very close to him, obviously.
Yeah, they've got kind of like a ranch that they're building on in Yosemite.
And what accident befalls him next?
So literally a year after he gets back from, where was it? Kazakhstan. He manages to chop one of his fingers off with a table saw. Yeah. Which I own a table saw, and that is the most terrifying thing to think about doing. And it is obviously...
So basically he loses it all the way down to the knuckle, doesn't he?
On his left hand.
Yeah, I think it's his left hand.
Left hand, first finger next to the thumb, which is prime climbing finger.
And he's told,
you're done.
You're not going to climb again.
You cannot possibly climb ever again, because there's a special grip that you need to use where you tuck your thumb over your finger to give itself more power. Yeah. And you can't do that because you haven't got that finger. You can't use your thumb. It's mental.
You need your fingertips.
You need your fingertips.
To get into every little crevice and these guys are pulling all their body weight
These guys hang their whole body weight off their fingertips.
And he's got one less fingertip.
And now he's got one less fingertip.
I love this next bit. So it's almost like a mini montage. Yeah. He's now got this nub.
Yeah.
And it's a montage of him doing all this nubbercise.
Another good word.
So, he's literally lifting weights just with the nub.
Yeah, because he's got to try and strengthen it. He's got to try and...
There's footage of him mashing it into dirt and...
Yeah.
And
he's basically trying to develop the nerves that would be in his fingertips into the nub, so the nerves come back to life, and he has this feeling in it.
It's just
the dedication this guy's got is insane. It's absolutely mad. So bear in mind now, for the rest of this film, everything he does, he has one less finger than anybody else who's ever tried it.
So he's sort of reteaching himself how to climb, and Beth's helping him.
Yeah.
You know, they're starting off small. There's footage of them sort of working up various difficulties and heights of rocks, boulders.
At the beginning, he can't even climb up like one handhold.
Yeah.
He's literally restarting from afresh.
And so in this time period, I think I got it down as sort of 2002 to 2007.
Yeah.
He climbed. They got a house, a sort of cottage in Yosemite.
Yeah.
And he climbs all the existing routes up.
Yeah.
El Capitan.
There's 15. He climbed every single one.
And he breaks speed records for most of them.
Didn't they say he did 2 in one day at one point?
Yeah.
Which, when you consider this film, that's crazy.
And there's a guy, for context, in one of the talking head bits. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's tagged as like climbing legend or something. And he basically says, this guy's Tommy, he's doing stuff that no one ever's done before. It shouldn't be possible.
Shit,
and then he invented a load of new routes up there.
Yeah.
With Beth. They get married, and then goes a bit sour.
Yeah, she fucks off.
It's very eloquently put.
Yeah, she leaves him for another man.
Yeah.
Is what she does. Which, again, destroyed him again.
Yeah.
3 times already. He's been crushed.
So he, as you said earlier, he just heads up El Capitan.
This is the catalyst he needs to...
Goes and sleeps in his tent hanging off the face of it for a couple of days.
Yeah. So this is 2008.
And decides he's going to climb the dorm wall.
Yeah. This is the point where he thinks, if this can be done, I'm going to... Obviously at this point he doesn't know he can do it, if it can be done or not. If it can be done, I'm going to be the one who does it. And he completely dedicates his entire life to it.
This the bit made me chuckle, because when there's a few shots in this where they sort of zoom back from the cliff itself.
Yeah.
And they like superimpose all these sort of golden like routes up the or potential routes up the cliff face, and the shots of Tommy looking at it, it's almost like beautiful mind shit, isn't it?
It's
like calculating,
you can see them all in his head,
equations
and numbers and all these pitches, and
so that did tickle me quite a bit. And then it cuts back to the actual expedition up the cliff.
Yeah.
And
your notes are in a lot more order than mine.
That's fine. I had to just try and get it straight in my head. So they get up to sort of the first 3 days are relatively smooth.
Yeah.
And then again, something I hadn't even considered. So they get to about day 4 or 5 and there's a storm.
Yeah, it's day 4.
Temperature drops.
75 mile an hour winds.
So they bed in.
Yeah.
They're getting swung like a pendulum back and forth.
These tents hang from the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
From the tops. So obviously the bottom's unprotected. So you're swinging out and swinging back against the cliff constantly.
Do you think would you have a night in a tent like that?
No. I don't even like sleeping in a tent on the ground. It baffles me that people want to do this, but this film tells you exactly why people do it.
But the next day was even worse.
Yes.
Because it was a lovely day for climbing. It was clear. Sun's coming out.
Yeah.
Starts to melt all the snow and ice that's been dumped there by the storm.
Yeah, it's performed on the top of El Capitan.
And they're basically being rained down upon by deadly ice missiles.
Daggers of ice missile, yeah. It's great. They were literally whistling past their ears at unknowable speed.
Yeah.
Any one of them could have just killed them, you would think.
Unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. And there's some shots of that which are brilliant, of these ice particles just falling down this mountain.
Yeah, like huge chunks of ice.
Yeah, huge.
And then we sort of leave the expedition again, and you get all the backstory and a bit of knowledge about Kevin
Jorgensen,
who's Tommy's climbing partner. So he was a boulderer. Another thing which I didn't know existed.
I didn't know anything about this either. And then somebody I know yesterday went, I went bouldering at the weekend.
That's obviously meant to be. We're doing this week.
Yeah.
So what's a boulderer?
A boulderer is, they climb boulders, basically, anything up to 30 feet high. But it's like round rocks. You know what a boulder is, it's just a great big rock. And they try and climb them instead of... he doesn't climb anything higher than 30 feet. And he's never climbed a rock. He's never been rock climbing.
He's never done a free climb
He's never done a free climb like this. Ever. Even one. But Tommy decides that he's the right guy for the job.
Kevin just texts him.
Yeah,
he just says, "Do you want a partner? I've heard you're trying to do the dorm wall. Do you want a partner?"
Yeah.
So this must have been huge in the niche world of climbing, because all through this there's sort of spinning magazine shots of like front pages of bouldering weekly and free climbing monthly and stuff like that, and the headlines are all like, "Is Coldwell trying to come up with this crazy route, and so everyone knows what he's trying to do.
Everyone knows what he's trying to do, and then he takes on this partner, because you can't do it on your own.
No, because what basically happens is they climb a bit, rope in, the next guy comes up.
Yeah.
So they are safely attached.
Yeah.
To the ropes and the pegs that they've put in.
There's 37 pitches on this route that Tommy designed.
But you're pulling yourself up all the way. The rope's just there to catch you if you slip.
Yeah. So basically, the first person gets to the pitch, hooks it up, and then the second person follows, and you go from there. So you are always attached to the rock, but there's not a rock. There's not like a rope at the top that you're climbing up.
Caldwell is like I've put there. He's like a rock climbing Yoda because he basically trains Jorgensen up at this point, isn't he?
Yeah.
From scratch.
Yeah, this guy's not from Yosemite.
He's never
he's from Santa Rosa, California.
He's never had to carry a tent up a mountain.
No, he couldn't pitch the tent on the mountain.
He got stuck between it.
He got stuck in the tent at one point. Yeah, the weight of it as well was described at one point. It was phenomenal weight that they had to carry up, and it's crazy. I'm going to keep saying it all the way through, but it is crazy.
And then we go back through. So again, continuing through the years, just the process of Caldwell trying to work out this route.
Yeah, so together they worked together for a long time, obviously, before they tried this.
Yeah.
And the design.
There's 5-6 years
of training him up.
So they have to avoid bears.
Yeah.
They both get a couple of injuries.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Tommy meets another lady called Becca.
Yeah.
And it's just practice.
Yeah.
And then it's all kind of going all right on the climb until they get to pitch number 15.
Yeah.
Where they've got to go sideways.
Yeah.
Traversing this cliff face.
So
with virtually nowhere to hold on, basically.
Yeah, that bit was mental, wasn't it? It was like, there's nothing there and you're not going up anymore. So going up is obviously hard, but going down and sideways is virtually impossible because...
So that what it is they get so far up and then there's not a path above them.
It's like glass, yeah.
But there is a potential path, I think they said 300
feet, yeah, it was.
To the left.
Yeah.
So they don't have to go across
to get to the
next
going up again.
Potential path all the way up. Again, for people in the rock climbing world, they're saying this is the hardest thing anyone's ever done. Yeah, in terms of level of difficulty.
I didn't catch the rock climbing expert guy's name either, but he says at one point that there's more difficult pitches on this one climb than there are on every other climb altogether on El Capitan. It's literally the impossible climb.
So they're both struggling to do this traverse.
Yeah.
They both have multiple attempts at it, but Tommy Caldwell makes it eventually.
Yeah.
Whereas Kevin Jorgensen's really struggling.
So Kevin says at one point they practiced this particular part for 100 days and he never did it.
Yeah.
And so obviously they have to move on, but he has never done this before the actual climb that they're on. He practiced it for 100 days.
Unbelievable.
No, it's craziness.
And but at this point, the media is starting to build up.
Yeah, a media circus.
This story is starting to get some real traction.
Yeah.
You know, there's updates on the morning news because and the crowd's gathering at the bottom in the meadow.
Not to be cynical, but you think the news have turned up because they think they're going to fail at this point. Tommy's got over the sideways traverse and Kevin can't do it.
Yeah.
So he tries constantly for 3 days.
Yeah.
So basically the rules are you try, if you fall, you have an hour's break to recover, then you try again. And he did that constantly for 3 days.
Tears his fingers to shreds.
During the night as well. Yeah. And it's not like, well, we'll go to sleep now for 8 hours. You just keep trying. And his fingers, both of their fingers, they don't even look like fingers.
No.
They're bigger at the ends than they are. They're bigger at the tips than they are anywhere else. And they're all shredded and ripped and swelled. And
it was interesting how they were saying it was sometimes it's a lot easier to climb at night because it's colder.
It's colder.
So you get a better grip.
There's less moisture on the rock.
Yeah. And it's pitch black. All they've got is the head torches on, so they can literally only look at
the grip. Only see what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been so strange. I did remark to my wife when we were watching it. I was like, imagine how quiet and still and strange it must be.
It must be eerie because they're really high up as well at this point. I didn't catch how far they were up.
Well, yeah, roughly just under halfway.
Yeah, they've got to be about halfway. So it's 1,500 feet up above the tree line, above everything else, hanging in the middle. And these grips that they're holding, they're not like you see rock climbing grips. They're tiny millimetre long bits of rock that their fingertips
they're like razor sharp and
they're sharp as well
at points.
And it's literally just the tips of their fingers that they're holding on with, trying to move
these
sideways.
Little cracks and crevices and
mind boggling.
And this is the real drama of this, and the real sort of bit that this film hinges on, really, is that Jorgensen can't finish this traverse.
Yeah. And why he's not being able to do it, Tommy isn't climbing.
Correct.
So Tommy's stopped.
Because you've got to rope up the other one to support them.
Tommy has to wait for him.
Yeah.
So he's not climbed anything for 3 days. So he's losing his fingers are healing, but he's losing his adrenaline maybe and things like that. It's not a good thing to sit and wait for somebody on the side of a mountain.
No, so they've got a tough decision to make.
Yeah.
So Tommy decides to press on.
Yeah, he decides to go on without him for a few pitches to see if he can do it. So Kevin's allowed to go with him.
Yeah, he's his rope man, basically.
He's rope man, basically. So he follows Tommy's ropes and gets over to the next point.
But he can abseil up and down and
do whatever he wants as long as but he isn't doing the climb himself.
And Tommy sort of presses on. He does the next few pitches.
Yeah.
There's one that they have to do where again this was just okay. It's explained in real layman's terms to people like us who are watching this sort of thing for the first time. There's a bit again that they spent ages trying to practice where they literally have to launch themselves. I think it was like 7 or 8 feet from a ledge to grab onto again a tiny little
fingertip ledge
to pull themselves up onto the next
jump
bit
sideways across.
And Caldwell never made it in practice, not once.
He even built a rig on his house. Like he had
with the same distance.
The same distance to see if he could jump it, and he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it, so he couldn't nail the landing.
He decides.
So this is how good he is.
Yeah, whilst he's on the rock, plots a 200-foot downward circle.
Detour, basically.
Around this jump.
Underneath.
Downwards.
So he climbs down.
Which,
under, and then up.
Climbing down seems impossible, and it basically says in the film, it's impossible. Climbing downwards is mental to even think about climbing downwards.
So he did this loop. It was 200
feet. Yeah.
To go 8 foot across.
Yeah. To go around the 8-foot jump that he couldn't do. we're both just looking at each other like boggly-eyed. It's mad. But he does it.
Yeah.
He gets around this.
And again, this talking head, the climbing legend guy is just like, this is. We're in another world now.
You can't believe what he's seeing.
Not,
this is changing everything.
This is not possible. And Caldwell eventually makes it up to the end of pitch number 18, which is really significant. So it's a little landmark called Wino Tower.
Wino Tower is pitched,
and it's basically a shelf of rock.
It's the first horizontal piece of rock on the mountain.
Yeah, so it's big enough for him to sit down, lie on it, and it is significant because it's the end of the hardest bit of the climb.
Yeah,
and he gets really emotional, doesn't he?
Yeah, he gets there and he's like, he knows now that he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because once you've got to Wino Tower, you know the rest of it's not easy, but
relative for him, isn't it?
Compared to what it was, he knows he's going to complete it. But he gets really emotional and decides that he doesn't want to do it if Kevin isn't doing it with him.
Yeah. So he's not a very good communicator, is he? And this is quite sweet. This is. So they're back in the tent or hanging off the edge of the cliff, and he sort of mumbles and he does. I don't know how Kevin got from what Tommy said.
Just because he'd been with him for so long, he could understand him. But
I don't know how he got from what he said. I'm going to wait and support you, and we're not. I'm not going any higher until
you catch me up.
So
they decide to go. Back.
That's what they did.
Yeah. So they decide to go back
to 15.
A few days, back to 15.
Yeah.
Kevin's hands have obviously had time to heal.
He has a few more goes.
Tommy drops his phone. Now, this is significant because the media are contacting him. He's got his phone on the side of the mountain and the media are contacting him.
Yeah, so they're doing various interviews on the phone.
While they're on downtime. And he drops it. Now,
Jorgensen basically
Kevin's
says...
like, there's no way he's dropped that phone.
You dropped it, in inverted commas.
You want to cut off all ties now and we're doing this between the two of us.
Because Tommy's happiest when he's just on the mountain.
On the mountain. So I thought that was really interesting.
Especially when he's been through what he is and he's had that media circus before when he was younger.
Yeah.
And he probably, if that was bringing back sort of memories associated with that, I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Or he felt it was ruining his focus and what. Yeah. But yeah, it was an interesting decision for him to drop his phone.
So his wife and his son turn up as well at that point because they know he's right near the end. So it gets to day 16 on the climb and Kevin finally does it.
Yeah.
He manages to put all of his resources together.
So 8 days Kevin's been on that bit.
Yeah. 8 days of not climbing.
Or attempting that same bit.
Attempting it. There was a few days where he gave up on it, but he does it and he starts to go through the pitches slowly, and he gets to this jump. And
this is the same jump that Tommy went 200 foot round. And he nails it.
He absolutely nailed it. He did the jump. It didn't tell you how many goes he had at it, but it didn't seem like it had been many. And yeah, so that means he catches up.
At 3 days, and from there, 3 days later, done. Day 19.
Day 19.
The top
300
out.
feet to go on the day, and they top out and they get to the top.
And I like the bit on the last morning, so they've only got this little bit left to do.
Yeah.
And again, there's a shot of them in the tent and the sun's coming up, and they both sort of say to each other, should we just stay one more day? You know, I don't want to finish.
They don't want to go back to the real world. They've had these 19 days up on this mountain. Even Tommy's ex-wife showed up at the end as well. She was even there to watch them do it. Beth was back. And so the crowd go completely mental to see them doing it. There's people at the top and at the bottom. It's 2015, so 7 years after Tommy decided he wanted to do it. He did it. 7 years.
Yeah. Dedicate a vast portion of his life to it.
It's
amazing
crazy.
Story. Absolutely amazing story.
Absolutely. And there's one more twist to this story.
Go on.
Right at the very end, they're telling you what happens afterwards, and it turns out the rebel that Tommy killed survived.
Yeah.
That was just like, what the fuck? You cannot write a script that good. You cannot. The rebel survived the fall down the mountain, and that's crazy times, because that's the ending of a film right there. That's not an ending of a documentary, that's a film ending. And that blew my mind.
Yeah. It was a great story.
It really was. I would say it's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
it was riveting.
It really was. And I didn't want it to end.
And I had no knowledge of this story, of this event.
I'd never heard of Tommy Caldwell. I'd never even heard of the Dawn War.
Yeah. Maybe different for, like I say, for some of our American listeners if this was quite a big story at the time, but certainly nothing over here. This did not.
Can you let us know if you're in America and you're listening? Please just tweet us at BOTS_podcast and let us know if you'd heard of this story before. Because we think
this is pretty recent history. We're only going back sort of 4 years.
It's not that long. We picked this film as at the bottom of the stream on Netflix in the UK, but in America it's just like trending at the top of Netflix. So I'm really interested to know if this guy is like stupidly famous over there, because I'd never heard of him. I'd never.
Or is it just a niche thing? And is it just a niche?
Is it a niche thing in the rock climbing community?
You might be listening and you've gone, oh yeah, I do
vaguely
remember
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. I'd be really interested to know that. So yeah, let us know.
So now's the difficult bit.
Is it?
It is for me.
Okay.
Well, where does this sit compared to everything else we've watched? Because it's totally different.
So we're going into the stream table now. So the stream table, if you've not listened to anything before, is where we don't rate films, we rank films on a table. So everything we put them in order of how much we would recommend them.
So they're all relative to each other.
Yeah, they are. But this one's weird because
I would 100% recommend you go and watch it.
I was thinking on my drive home from work yesterday. This is the first film we've watched that I would recommend to everybody I know.
Yeah,
everybody I know would get something out of this film because it is an inspiring story.
Yeah,
and it's beautifully shot and it's like a film.
Yeah,
and this is the first one we've watched that I would.
I think you have to be pretty stone-hearted to not get something out of this.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I think that's a really good way of putting it. I would definitely recommend this film to anyone.
Everybody.
This is a great hour and a half.
There's no way
spent watching this.
There's no way this film should be at the bottom of the stream. This should be Netflix should be screaming to the rafters about this.
But
go on.
What was inspiring about this is the story.
Yeah,
it's a good documentary. Is it a great film? How do you fit it in with everything else?
This was the issue I was thinking we were going to have when this came out, because can you compare a documentary to a film? And by putting this in the bag, we've decided that we have to.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've already made that decision, I think this is number one on our table.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. See, I kind of thought it either has to go at number one, or you put it around sort of 3-ish, because was it as much fun as the top couple?
It depends what you're going into it for, but this is the issue we're going to have going forward with the stream table, that films don't compare to each other, and we've made this decision, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And because we've made that decision, we have to judge it on how much we enjoyed this. I enjoyed this film more than any of the others we've seen.
It's great. But put it at number one. We'd recommend it to anyone.
Yeah, well, exactly. That was my point.
That's enough.
It's got to go at number one, I think, because Little Evil, which is there now, is a great film.
I know people who won't like that though.
Exactly. And I think Little Evil has its place as a really good film, but The Dawn Wall is a really well-made piece of
art.
It really is.
And life.
It is, and I think it has to go number one.
Yeah, let's do it. New winner.
New number one. Who'd have thought it? So get out there and watch it.
Yeah, go and watch The Dawn Wall.
Please go and watch it because it is an inspiring story and it's really fucking good. I can't say any more than that.
Yeah, look for The Dawn Wall. But look for Dawn Wall the film, not Dawn Wall the actress.
Yeah, there's an actress called Dawn Wall.
I don't know if she's as difficult to conquer.
I don't know. If Dawn Wall's listening, we'll get in touch.
But yeah, definitely check it out. It's great.
Yeah,
it's an hour and a half long, and it's
worth your time.
Inspiring.
It's completely worth your time, and even if you're not into rock climbing, which I'm not, I feel like I've learned a lot about rock climbing that I didn't know, and I'm inspired by it. And his story is fascinating. I might even buy his book. He's written a book. I might even buy that to take on my holidays.
Are you going to be scaling the side of your house next time?
I think my house would hold up. Yes, number one.
Good.
So, are we going to pick next week's film?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then after we've done that, we've got a bit of an announcement.
Yeah.
As well. So, stay tuned. So, I've opened the randomizer and I'm going to press the button. Just picked a film called Bottom of the World.
Okay. That's very different from The Top of a Mountain. So
I had to look at it twice and think, that's not the same thing, is it? So let's see what Bottom of the World is.
It's Australia from here.
But true. Very true. So Bottom of the World is a 2017 film as a 15 and is described as a drama mystery thriller. So the synopsis.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Says, the mysterious disappearance of a young woman leads her boyfriend on a journey for truth and perhaps his own unknown reality in this dark, hypnotic mystery that transcends the limitations of traditional narrative.
Okay.
Sounds arty. Would you like to watch the trailer?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where the hell are we?
I don't know. Some old town, like a million others.
You can't not stay here. You go get the bags, and I'll get us a room.
What is the worst thing that you've ever done?
Well, I took the 5-finger discount on these. Is that not what you meant? Scarlett, what are you doing?
I thought I heard someone.
What are you talking about?
I heard someone talking to me.
Guy on TV?
I know how it sounds.
Scarlett.
He's trying to tell me something. I think I know him.
So let's just go. We'll be in LA by morning. Scarlett. You just need a doctor.
I don't think there's a doctor for this.
Gone and lost your girl?
What?
Of course, maybe she's just sleepwalking. Is that girl a sleepwalker, Alex? She ain't living by the rules of the Lord.
Where are you?
In there.
In where?
With you.
Hey, sit down. What's going on?
I don't know.
Alex?
I wake up and I feel like I'm still in a dream. I don't think you or any of this is real. Do I look familiar to you at all?
Couldn't say.
This is real. You and me. Nothing else matters. Just ignore whatever's going on out there.
Just as sure as that there sun.
Is she here? Scarlett! Tell me, is this real?
Tell me what this is.
No, okay, it's a dream!
Yes, it is all a dream. But you ain't dreaming nothing.
This is hell. We're in hell, aren't we?
You've been running around with my daughter, haven't you?
Scarlett's father's dead. Why are you acting like you don't know me?
Are you starting to feel it then?
What is this? I want answers. Why are you lying?
Alex.
What's the worst thing you've ever done? Where is he? Tell me!
That was the longest trailer ever.
That was interesting.
Looks weird. I think
It does look weird.
I think it'll be fun.
It looks trippy, it looks fun.
It's got a creepy church clergyman / father in it, which
Of course it has.
Again, it's a recurring theme with some of our films.
Yeah, so give that a watch and we'll come back next week to talk about it.
Bottom of the world, but will it be bottom of the stream?
Oh, nice. Good little tagline. So that'll come next Monday, but we've got a bit of a special episode coming this Thursday.
Going all bonus, aren't we?
Going all bonus episode. Because we've done 10 episodes, we thought we'd celebrate. So we're going to do a special bonus episode on Thursday, basically telling you a bit more about who we are, about what we do, who we are, what Bottom of the Stream is, and we're going to tell that by listing our favourite films on Netflix. And we've come up with some rules and some categories, and we're going to
give it a go.
Delve into who we are a little bit more about.
Awesome.
Who as film lovers, who we are. So catch that on Thursday, catch Bottom of the World on Monday, and we'll see you then.
Cheers.
Bye.